Welcome to the Property Guide. You're watching ET Now. I'm Faye D'Souza. We'll help you with anything you need to know when it comes to buying a home or investing in property on this very show. Remember, our email ID is at the bottom of your screen, so you can send in any question you have about buying property. You can also reach me on my Twitter handle that's on your screen as well. Over the next half hour, we'll tell you why there's more bad news. Residential project launches are down 50%. But there's some interesting activity in Hyderabad. We'll find out what's going on. We'll answer queries you sent in from Mumbai and Bangalore. And we'll take a look at the investment potential right now in Lavasa. Joining me in the studio this week, Siddharth Goyal is the National Head of Research at Cushman & Wakefield, and Jayashree Kurup is the Head of Content and Research at magicbricks.com. I'm always pleased to have research people on the show. It means that they'll be armed with a lot of numbers. Now, we have two different reports that we're going to look at. Cushman & Wakefield has a report that's come out on the first quarter of this year, saying that there's been a 50% decline in new residential project launches across the country compared to the same quarter last year. Now, we're going to talk about each city separately. At the same time, Magic Bricks has its prop index as well, where it talks about sentiment across various cities and what the customer currently feels like. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at each city one by one and look at what both of these reports say about each city. And I want to start with the city of Delhi. So that let's talk about Delhi. And this is Delhi, Noida and Gurgaon. You've said it's seen the worst decline of 68% from the previous quarter. But interestingly enough, 65% of the new launches were in Noida. So tell us what's going on in Delhi particularly.
So yeah, I think it will carry on for the next few quarters, because as we are aware that, there's been a new government that's actually coming into Delhi. And there's also been a new development plan, which has been a master plan, which has been prepared for Delhi. So all of these things actually have to play out into the markets. And also what we've seen is that basically the buying sentiment in Delhi has weakened quite a lot. So with these negative sentiments that are currently existing in the local markets, we don't see developers launching too many projects in the next few quarters. So this will probably carry on for another.
I mean, any conversation we have with a buyer in Delhi, whether that person's an investor or an end user, invariably winds up talking about delays, where the person starts to say that, listen, almost every apartment that was meant to be handed over in the next year or 2 years has been delayed.
Yep.
So obviously people are going to take their money off the table and say, maybe this is not a very good market for me to buy in. What's causing the delays? And again, is there any solution at all on the anvil?
So there are a combination of reasons for the delays. One being primarily that a lot of developers are actually suffering from a liquidity crisis. Because obviously sales have been low. Whatever projects, units that they sold before, a lot of the money was diverted into buying more land for their future expansions. Also on top of that, we are also seeing a lot of regulatory changes coming in. You're also getting reports of, whether it's Delhi itself or whether it's Noida or whether it's Gurgaon, the Haryana government, rules and regulations changing out there, which are impacting local developers. So as a result of which, again, developers are being a little cautious in terms of launching new projects. You're also going to see the real estate regulation bill, which is going to come in, which is supposed to actually bring in a lot of transparency. And again, that will also cause developers to delay their projects because they'll want to understand what the implications are for them.
All right. I'm going to bring in Jayashree here because I want to go between, the two reports and we'll go city by city. So, Jayashree, we're talking about the NCR. If we look at the Magic Bricks Prop Index, it does say that Noida recorded the maximum rise in city index value by 9%. And this is interesting because the CW report also says that Noida accounted for 65% of the unit launches. Tell us why Noida is getting so much attention within the NCR right now. What's going on in Noida that's, catching a buyer's attention, and what does that mean for the rest of our viewers at this point?
In the prop index, we track values and we track the stock. Now, what's happened is that in the Noida region, a lot of properties have actually come into various stages of completion. There is going to be a huge volume of ready-built stock coming into the Noida market, and today that is one of the most active property markets in the NCR. All the other NCR markets, including Ghaziabad, have not shown any rise. In fact, Ghaziabad and Gurgaon have shown a dip in values, and that is why we say that Noida is the throbbing hub of the NCR.
So, Jayashree, very quickly, would you then say that for an end user looking to buy a home in the NCR region, Noida is the best option at this point?
Absolutely, Faye, because Noida put its infrastructure in place. The metro is running. There is an extension of the metro through to Greater Noida, which has been sanctioned, and work is tenders are expected out shortly. The road network is extremely good. There is road widening. There are flyovers, underpasses. In terms of infrastructure, Noida has it all. The only problem with Noida was the safety perception, but the kind of development that you're seeing when you're looking at about 30,000 houses coming up on one corridor, because of the sheer volume of residential development, all other facilities are expected to come there. And already you have social infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, shopping centers and so on. So if you are an end user and you're looking to buy there, and if the property that you're looking at is in some stage of completion, I would say go for it.
All right, I want to move on to other cities as well, but in all fairness, there was a huge expectation from the festive season last year. Not much happened. So now the expectations are on the festive season this year. We're going to track and see what happens there as well. Let's also talk about Mumbai. Now, the Magic Bricks Prop Index says that Mumbai recorded the maximum drop of 6% in the city index value. The Cushman Wakefield report says that new launches came down 11%. But the interesting thing for me is that 92% of the launches were in the eastern suburbs. Does that also mean, I mean, you know, is there anything special going on in the eastern suburbs other than just the fact that land is available in large chunks, which means that people can build those housing, you know, complexes with the pool and the gym, which is so difficult to find in the western suburbs in Mumbai. But in terms of an end user or in terms of an investor, does the eastern suburbs then become more interesting?
So yes, the eastern suburbs are becoming much more interesting because the simple reason that a lot of the new infrastructure initiatives are coming up more in the eastern suburbs. So if you look at the central and the eastern suburbs, there's a lot of infrastructure connectivity that's coming in, which is connecting to the western suburbs. So where Bombay used to suffer that you had only one east-west link, which was basically the JVLR, after the Santa Cruz link road that has been opened up, you've had the Eastern Express freeway, which has opened up. You've had, you know, basically the monorail, which has come up. A lot of connectivity is actually improving in the eastern. And obviously, the western suburbs have been extremely expensive. And if you compare...
But in all fairness, the eastern suburbs have moved up over the last 1 year, which the western suburbs have not.
Yes.
So would you say then they're going to continue to remain attractive, or will the price rise, you know, in the eastern suburbs like Ghatkopar and Chembur, for example, were the highest, you know, the highest price rise in the last 1 year? Will that continue over the year to come?
So it will continue for sure because we're talking from a lower capital base compared to the western suburbs. So that is why there is definitely scope for the capital values to actually increase further, and you will see some kind of increase taking place. Of course, this will now be on probably at the back burner for about 6-8 months because until and unless the new revised development plan comes into action, we're not really going to see much residential launch activity taking place because most developers will hold on to that until the new development plan is actually you know, brought in into the, again, a new development plan is brought in, and we see what the impact will be.
All right, very quickly, I want to ask you this. What is the view right now on central Mumbai as well? Because there are a lot of advisors who came in and said that, you know what, right now, if you have the cash, buy in central Mumbai or put the deposit down, and when it does come up finally in all of its glory, that you will make a lot of money. Is that something that that you believe is possible as well?
So it is possible because, as you can see, there are a lot of the office activity, a lot of the offices are moving into the central suburbs, and of course expanding into other suburbs also. The infrastructure is improving. There are a lot of things which are slated, which we will see completion. But of course, you'll have to look at each project on a piecemeal basis because there will be certain dynamics within these local markets which will affect the project. So you will have to look at the developer profile, you will have to look at the project profile, and you will have to see what the connectivity is. So I wouldn't just rush in for each and every project.
It's not a blanket solution.
Yes.
All right. Jayashree, talk to me about Bangalore right now. It's very interesting. In your report, you talked about the fact that somehow in Bangalore, the search for apartments have come down. The search for villas and land has gone up. Give us a little idea of what that means. Does it mean that investors in Bangalore have now moved outside of the periphery of the outer ring road and they're now just looking for land and villas? Is that where the market is?
There are two reasons. One, that projects have been delayed, and if you're waiting endlessly for an apartment, maybe they're looking at the plots and residential villas. Another thing is that the loading of property on apartments has been very high. So if you buy 2,000 square feet and you get roughly about 1,500 square feet or 1,800 square feet, you know that you are paid for a larger apartment, but you're getting only about 60% of that space to live in. Whereas if you go for residential villas and plots, you're getting a larger livable area, and both these seem to be driving factors in this trend.
All right. I'm running out of time, but I very, very quickly want to talk about Hyderabad. According to your report, Hyderabad is the only city that has actually seen an increase, and not just a small increase, of 190% in new launches in this last one quarter. What has changed in Hyderabad so drastically, and what changed in the last one quarter?
So actually, it's not really a change in the last one quarter that has taken place. This is a change which has been there over a year. What's basically happened is that we've seen that in the last 3-4 years, basically, real estate activity in Hyderabad had come down. Because obviously it was driven largely by the political angle in terms of the Telangana issue. Sentiments have impacted developers who were forced to actually reduce the supply, and that is why the markets were not too active. Now that there is a political resolution, and we do know that the new capital of Andhra is actually 10 years away, it's back to business as usual in Hyderabad. So developers are launching the units that they had been planning to launch. Obviously, the markets had been subdued, but they now expect substantial pickup in demand.
So they are expecting substantial pickup in demand. So would you say for someone looking to invest their money right now, Hyderabad is a good option?
I would definitely think so, because if you look at it, the city has one of the best infrastructures compared to most other metros, and capital values are so low that it would look like an attractive place to invest in.
Jayashree, very quickly, do you agree Hyderabad is the best option right now for an investor, not an end user?
No, Faye, I don't see it as a huge investment option, and I'll give you the reason. There is a lot of excitement over the new cities that are going to come up, Vijayawada, Visakhapatnam and so on. When you have a lot of stock coming up in the same vicinity, investors are likely to wait a little bit and then go and purchase wherever the returns are highest. Today it's too early for us to predict whether Hyderabad will get bulk of the investment or whether Vijayawada and Visakhapatnam will get it. But it will be split.
Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for us to answer a few of the questions you sent in during the week. Shivangi has written in. She wants to buy a property in Pune, interested in the township called World City by Pride in Charkoli in Pune. Is the area and the builder worth the investment? Jayashree, do you want to take that in terms of pricing and in terms of quality of construction? Would you give that a go ahead?
It is early in its development cycle. There is a waiting period that is going to come here. And therefore, I would say that if you have a longer investment horizon, then you can invest in this, because the prices are roughly about 4,500 to 5,200, and you'll get about 600 to 750 square feet apartment. But you'll have to wait, because the livability is not going to be very high in a hurry.
All right, so wait for some time. And you know what I love about this show? So many of our questions come in from women. Neha has written in, she'd like to invest in property in one of the distant suburbs of Mumbai. She says, after Kalyan, preferably with a budget of 50 lakh rupees. Give me some good suggestions of locations and projects accordingly. Is there anything you'd recommend? So she's obviously making an investment. She's not actually going to live there. What would you recommend that she does? So,
I mean, definitely beyond Kalyan, there are areas like Ambarnath or Ulhasnagar or Badlapur, Titwala and Vashi, which would actually serve her purpose. Because the ticket size that she's looking at of around 50 lakhs, a lot of prominent developers from Bombay, I mean, in and around that area are actually constructing projects out there which would come in at that range. There are, of course, a lot of local developers also who are constructing in the 40 to 50 lakhs budget. But overall, Kalyan as a location seems to be a very interesting place, because definitely a lot of infrastructure is going to be developed. We also know that your Ahmedabad and Bombay connectivity is going to come up in a big way. A lot of investment is going on, and obviously industries have been moving out of Bombay and Thane into these belts. So there's definitely going to be end user demand that is going to come up out there. And if you're looking at that mid-range kind of this thing, this looks like a good location.
All right. Jayashree, do you have any options on the website for her in that range of 50 lakh rupees?
Yeah, with 50 lakh in places like Ambarnath and Badlapur, she should be able to get roughly about 800 to 1,000 square feet unit. But it is, and there are local developers. I don't see any national developers, but there is a lot of options as far as local developers go. If you go further towards Karjat, I think you'll get a larger unit, about 1,300 to 1,500 square feet. But that again is a small local developer. So you should be doing your due diligence again, like we've been always saying, check the title deeds, check the approvals, check the track record of the developer before you buy. But if and do check out the premises. Do go drive down there and see, even if it is a long-term investment, go drive down, check out the location, and then put your money in.
All right, next question comes in from Hitendra Yadav. He's looking to buy land as an investment for the next 5 to 10 years with a budget of 300 to 800 rupees a square foot. He wants to know which is the best and, interestingly enough, safest investment option. Devnali, Sarjapur Road or Electronic City? What would you recommend?
Unfortunately, you can't get any of any particular land in any of these locations.
Okay.
Because all these locations are quoting not less than 2,500 rupees a square foot. So,
and they're mostly in those gated communities,
absolutely.
Which means that the builder takes a slice of that pie already.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So because these areas are in a lot of demand, a lot of infrastructure, this thing. So these areas, you can't really be investing between 300 to 800 rupees a square foot out here. If you want to make any investments in that particular range, you'll have to go maybe 15, 17 kilometers away from these locations, further north of Devanahalli or south of Electronic City or Sarjapur Road, to be able to make that kind of investment. So at this rate, unfortunately, Hitendra won't be able to buy anything in these locations.
Actually, if he goes further north or further south, then the other thing that he's concerned about is risk. He wants something that's safe. I'm not sure if you can keep your budget and your safety intact with this particular call. Jayashree, if you look at the website, at that range of 300 to 800, is there anything available? Is there a plot of land that he could buy in a supposed safe investment neighborhood?
Surprisingly, Faye, I do have lots of options. There are listings on the site, roughly about 800 to 1,200 square feet, and these are available. What really happens is in the core you may not get, but on in the periphery of Electronic City, Devanahalli and so on, slightly away from the core, that's where you get these properties, and they get listed as Devanahalli or Sarjapur Road and so on.
Actually, the best thing to do for a case like this is to seek out local brokers who will actually know if someone is making a second sale or if there's a plot of land available. And of course, we do your due diligence on that land, on the papers, make sure that you have a very clear title on anything that you're buying, especially when it comes to land. Sagar Goyal has written in, he wants to buy a home in East Delhi with a budget of 50 lakh rupees. Please suggest a nice location for a family of 6. I love questions like this. Do you have anything for him?
So unfortunately, again, East Delhi, you can't really get anything in a budget of 50 lakhs. The only option would be to buy somewhere in Noida, between Noida and Greater Noida, and especially the Noida extension or along the expressway would probably be a good location for him.
Jayashree, are there any second sales, or maybe he should be looking for distress sales, something in East Delhi? If he's set up on the location, would there be a solution you can offer him?
He can look at Shakarpur and he can look at Lakshmi Nagar. When I checked on the site, both these places, there are options. But you see, he's talking about a large family. I'm not sure he'll be able to get about 700 to 800 square feet apartment. By Delhi sizes, that's really small. But in the secondary market, there are options.
All right. So like we said on the show, if you really want to stay in East Delhi, then you're going to have to compromise on the space. But Noida is becoming a great option in terms of connectivity, follow the metro, and in terms of, a lot of social infrastructure. So there's a lot going on. There are schools, there are hospitals, all of those things. So you have a toss-up here. You want the space or you want to travel? And if you have any more questions, you can get in touch with us. Our email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Jayashree and Siddharth, thank you so much for spending time with us and answering all of our questions. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET now. Let's look outside our cities for investment options. Now, there's no debate about how beautiful Lavasa is as a location to spend a weekend. But does it have any investment potential? My colleague Kamya Verma travelled out of the city of Mumbai to find out. Take a look.
So this is Lavasa. This is the first town that they have created this way. 95% of it is ready and there are plans to create 4 more such towns. Today, we'll have a close look at Dasway. Spread across 10,000 hectares along lakes and mountain ranges, Lavasa strives hard to balance between nature and urban infrastructure. Providing multiple options for housing, Daswe boasts of spaces that enjoy a view of the lake. Well, on the face of it, it looks nice and pretty, but which are the inventories that are available and how much moolah will you have to shell out? Let's find out. Far from the buzz of the lakeside promenade, a villa with an area of 3680 square feet perched atop a hill is priced at 2.8 crore rupees. And the farther you get from the hills, moving closer to the lake, the prices get cheaper. Having launched at the price of 2,450 rupees per square feet in 2007, Lavasa has seen an appreciation of more than 100% in the last 8 years. Rentals here start from 10,000 rupees for the smallest residential unit. What is the kind of price movement that we have seen ever since the project has been launched to the current price? What's the kind of appreciation that homeowners have seen here?
We began, when we first launched, we sold something like 2,500 rupees a square foot.
Okay.
But today in Daswe, the villas are selling at 7,500 rupees a square foot. The apartments are selling at 5,000 to 5,000 rupees a square foot.
Right.
So that's been a huge appreciation in the pure value of real estate.
So it's not just a place with refreshing view where you can stretch out your arms and relax. Lavasa might also be an attractive destination for property investors as well.
That's a wrap on Property Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, our email ID is at the bottom of your screen, so you can send in a question if you have a question about investing in property, and you can get in touch with me on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching.